In the shadows of Jacksonville, Florida, on the fateful night of December 9, 1993, 16 bullets, 2 innocent lives cut short. That's what Michael B. Bell unleashed upon Jimmy West and Tamecka Smith, a devastating act of mistaken revenge that ended their lives in an instant. From the personal grief of losing his brother to a blind, unthinking rage, what transformed Bell, a man who reportedly endured haunting past trauma, into a cold-blooded killer on July 15, 2025, at a Florida state prison death, will come calling for him. Will that final moment offer any answers to the mysteries behind his heinous crimes? We're about to unveil the truth in the case of Michael B. Bell. This case revolves around 2 primary victims, Jimmy West and Tamecka Smith. On that fateful night of December 9, 1993, both were brutally shot and killed as they were getting into a car outside a bar in Jacksonville, Florida. Jimmy West, an ordinary man with no direct connection to the perpetrator's vendetta, was tragically mistaken by Michael Bell for the person who had killed his brother. He was shot 12 times at close range and died on the spot. Tamecka Smith, an innocent woman, also became a victim of this violent attack, sustaining 4 gunshot wounds and passing away en route to the hospital. Furthermore, another woman accompanying them miraculously survived by ducking, and Bell indiscriminately fired into the bar's entrance area, where about a dozen people were waiting, narrowly avoiding even more casualties. Jimmy West and Tamecka Smith were entirely blameless individuals, mercilessly stripped of their lives in a misplaced act of revenge. Their tragic deaths left an indelible scar on the hearts of their families, friends, and the Jacksonville community. They were ordinary people with their own lives, their own futures, all abruptly ended by a moment of blind violence. Michael Bernard Bell, now 54 years old, grew up in what was reportedly a tumultuous environment. While detailed information about Bell's early life isn't widely publicized, court records indicate he was sent to the notorious Dozier School for Boys, where Bell reported being sexually abused by a guard and forced to participate in a fight club for staff to bet on. These horrifying experiences at Dozier could have left deep psychological scars, potentially shaping Bell's personality and violent behavior later in life. The turning point that led to Bell's crimes began in June 1993, when his brother Lamar Bell was killed by Theodore Wright in what was determined to be a justifiable shooting. The immense grief and rage consumed Michael Bell, leading him to vow revenge for his brother's death. For 5 months following, Bell repeatedly told friends and relatives of his intent to kill Wright. On December 8, 1993, Bell, with the help of a girlfriend, acquired an AK-47 assault rifle, a 30-round magazine, and 160 rounds of ammunition. This meticulous preparation indicates a long simmering plan for revenge. However, it's crucial to note that Bell had also been convicted of 3 other murders, a woman and her young son, in 1989, and his mother's boyfriend approximately 4 months before the attack on Jimmy West and Tamecka Smith. This history suggests that Michael Bell was not merely a blindly vengeful individual, but possessed a terrifying pattern of violence. Did the trauma from his past, compounded by the profound grief over his brother's death, truly shape Michael B. Bell's monstrous path of crime? Or were these merely justifications for someone who had already chosen a destructive and violent life? Michael B. Bell's crimes were not impulsive acts, but the chilling culmination of a meticulously planned, albeit tragically misguided, revenge plot. On the night of December 9, 1993, Michael Bell spotted a yellow Plymouth car that he mistakenly believed belonged to Theodore Wright, the man he sought revenge against for his brother's death. Unbeknownst to Bell, Wright had already sold that car to Jimmy West. With the assistance of 2 friends and armed with a fully loaded AK-47 assault rifle with 30 rounds, Bell ambushed the car outside the bar where it was parked. As Jimmy West, Tamecka Smith, and another woman exited the bar and approached the vehicle, Bell moved toward the driver's side door and opened fire at close range. He fired 12 bullets into West and 4 into Smith, brutally killing both of them. The third woman managed to duck in time and survived the onslaught. Not stopping there, Bell then sprayed bullets indiscriminately towards the bar's entrance area where about a dozen people were waiting, demonstrating a blatant disregard for human life. After committing this double murder, he fled the scene. This was not merely a murder case, it was a horrifying act of violence that instilled terror in witnesses and the entire community. The particularly tragic truth that the victims were completely innocent and fell prey to a case of mistaken revenge made Bell's crime even more poignant. He acted with chilling coldness and ruthlessness, not only taking lives, but also spreading widespread fear among everyone present. What fueled Michael B. Bell to continue down this path of violence, even after senselessly killing innocent people in his misguided quest for revenge? Immediately following the horrifying shooting outside the Jacksonville bar, law enforcement swiftly launched an investigation. With multiple witnesses present at the scene and Michael B. Bell's open threats of revenge for his brother's death linking him to the crime, did not take long. The investigation gathered crucial testimony from 3 key witnesses who had seen the murders unfold. In addition, Erica Williams Bell's former girlfriend testified that Bell had spoken of his plan to get revenge on Wright and had convinced her to purchase the AK-47 rifle for him. This evidence, combined with Bell's confirmed involvement in acquiring the weapon, solidified the case against him. Bell was arrested the following year in 1994 after a manhunt. While the specific details of his arrest are not widely publicized, the strong evidence gathered and the eyewitness testimonies enabled law enforcement to quickly identify and apprehend the perpetrator. However, in recent days, Bell's case has reignited controversy. His lawyers filed a 252-page post-conviction petition alleging that 2 key witnesses in his 1995 trial were coerced into giving false testimony by investigators and prosecutors. These 2 men, Henry Edwards and Charles Jones, signed sworn affidavits stating their previous testimony was untrue and that they had been intimidated by police or promised benefits to testify against Bell. Although a judge recently denied the request for a new trial, these accusations have cast a shadow of doubt over the fairness of the initial investigation process. Did Michael B. Bell truly believe he could evade justice, or does he cling to the hope that new evidence might alter his fate just days before his scheduled execution? The trial of Michael B. Bell for murder took place in 1995. He was prosecuted on charges of first-degree murder for the deaths of Jimmy West and Tamecka Smith. The prosecution presented compelling evidence, including eyewitness testimonies and physical evidence emphasizing the brutality of the attack and the long premeditated motive for revenge. They also highlighted that Bell had vowed revenge for his brother's death and meticulously planned the act acquiring the weapon to carry it out. Notably, a bar security guard also testified that he and about 7 or 8 others had to duck for cover when Bell fired his weapon in the parking lot. The prosecution even used racially charged language describing Bell as living by jungle law to the predominantly white jury. Bell's defense team, led by attorney Richard Nichols, opted not to present a defense during the 1995 trial, a decision that has come under intense scrutiny in later years. Nichols, who passed away in 2023, also failed to raise the issue of Bell's time at the Dozier School for Boys, where Bell reported sexual abuse and forced participation in a fight club, factors that could have been used to mitigate his sentence. In 1995, the jury found Michael B. Bell guilty on both counts of first-degree murder and unanimously recommended the death penalty for both counts. Subsequently, the court sentenced Michael Bell to death for each count, based on 3 aggravating circumstances and 1 statutory mitigating circumstance. Bell has been incarcerated on Florida's death row since 1995. The victims' families undoubtedly experienced a sense of relief with the execution of justice, though it could never erase the pain of their loss. However, Bell's story remains contentious with these new allegations of coerced witness testimony. Did this verdict truly deliver justice for all parties involved, or are there lingering doubts that need to be addressed? The case of Michael B. Bell is not merely a story of crime and punishment. It's a profound reflection on justice, revenge, and the criminal justice system itself. What truly drove Michael B. Bell, a man who reported being a victim of abuse at the infamous Dozier's school and endured the grief of losing his brother, to become a cold-blooded killer, senselessly murdering innocent people in a misguided act of revenge? The impact of this case on the families of Jimmy West and Tamecka Smith is immeasurable. The sudden violent loss compounded by the grim reality that their loved ones were victims of mistaken identity left permanent scars. The Jacksonville community also grappled with fear and unease after witnessing such a brutal crime. Bell's case also ignites crucial debates surrounding the death penalty and criminal procedural processes. The fact that Bell has never received a full federal review of his sentence, coupled with recent allegations of coerced witness testimony, raises serious questions about the fairness of his case. Is it possible for someone to be sentenced to death based on questionable testimony? The controversy surrounding the death penalty, especially in cases with procedural irregularities, remains a sensitive and complex issue. This case serves as a stark reminder of the horrific cost of violence, the complexity of the human psyche when confronted with grief and loss, and the responsibility of the legal system to ensure true justice. It also prompts us to ask how we, as a society, can prevent similar tragedies from happening in the future. What are your thoughts on Michael B. Bell's fate, and what lessons does this poignant story leave for our society today?